Salute, man. What's happening? Boxing After Dark with Nocturnal Thoughts. Salute to Blood Boxing straight off the rip. I'm about to do my workout, but I'm gonna get this video off my chest real fast. You know what I'm saying? And get out y'all way. Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury trilogy is going down tomorrow. A lot of people get it twisted and think that I don't want Deontay Wilder to win this fight. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to always want Deontay Wilder to be the best Deontay Wilder. Win, lose, or draw, I just want him to be the best version of himself as a boxer, as a man, as a father, etc., etc. But then when it comes to this trilogy match with Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder, at the end of the day, I just want the best man to win the fight, period, point blank. And I pull for Deontay Wilder, but not from a delusional standpoint. From my standpoint, I'm just going to keep it as real from my perspective. And from my perspective, Deontay Wilder can win this fight, no doubt about it. But I want him to win the right way, mentally and physically. I want him to lose if he loses. I want him to lose the right way, where if you need to be humbled or you need to, like he said, when I lost this fight, everything happens for a reason. If he goes into this trilogy in the wrong way mentally and he loses, it'll be for a reason. If he wins, it'll be for a reason. Either way, I pull for Deontay Wilder. But I'm no person that's anti-Tyson Fury. I'm not playing black versus white and all that other nonsense that's in the game about this fight. I'm not worried about that. I respect and I like Tyson Fury, period, point blank. And there's things about him that I don't like. And there's things about Deontay Wilder that I don't like. So at the end of the day, it neutralizes me to say, let the best man win. But I think that Deontay Wilder sometimes just isn't putting himself in the right mental space when I listen to some of the stuff that he says. I don't pigeonhole him to every single word that he says, because I know that I can say things, articulate them differently than the way they sound in my mentality. So when I speak them out loud, it might not come out correct first time around. And I'm not under the spotlight with people holding cameras to my face. You never know what type of speak. They say the hardest thing to do in life is to stand in front of people and speak. You know what I'm saying? Most people's biggest fear is to stand in front of people and speak. So I'm not gonna never hold him against everything he says when it comes to the vocabulary and the vernacular and his articulation and the things that he expresses. But if I listen to interviews, if I listen to conferences over and over and over, and you still repeat the same thing, I have to see that your mentality, that's exactly you saying what you mean to say the way you mean to say it. Like when they asked him, what does he have to prove in this trilogy? And he says, I have nothing to prove. I just can't believe that. That might be true, but I can't believe that. Because if you watch the build up to the first fight before they had any real history, after they did their first face-to-face, he was backstage with his fiance and he was emotionally broken down and in tears, literally in tears, crying. And I cannot be mad at that. A man cries. Jesus wept. A man cries. He was emotional. Mike Tyson would cry before every fight. He was crying backstage. Deontay Wilder was crying backstage to his wife or his fiance, and she was, you know what I'm saying, she was stroking him and whatever. She was nurturing him, and he was like, people don't understand. It's not a game. It's not a game. It's not a game. So I don't see how you can go from the first fight with no history, being that emotional and having that much on the line, to losing the second fight, and now the trilogy comes and you have nothing to prove. I don't understand that, but maybe that's just something I don't understand, but I don't believe it when he says that. When they asked him, what precautions have you took to make sure he doesn't cheat again? Man, we got a lot of things lined up, but I'm not going to speak on it. Silence is golden. That don't make sense to me, because I just want to, you can talk about what things, unless you got some kind of legal order that's like, you know what I'm saying, they'll say you can't talk about this, you can't talk about that legally. Unless that's the case, when they ask a question like, what precautions have you took to make sure he doesn't cheat again, since all these allegations is so prevalent in the conversation, he should be able to offer some kind of information instead of just saying, oh, I got a lot of things lined up so he can't cheat, but I'm not going to talk about it because my words get taken out of context and silence is golden. That doesn't make sense. But it is what it is. Because you should be able to say, we got this lined up and this lined up and this lined up, so we make sure we cover all that. I'm sure they got it covered. But when Tyson Fury takes control of the conference and starts to lean in to Deontay Wilder and JD's and Malik Scott and Shelly Finkel, when he plows into them, he told Deontay Wilder, you a loser and you getting trained by a loser and you're gonna get knocked out. The only thing that I see Deontay Wilder being able to win two ways, and I'm gonna get out y'all way. One, puncher's chance. He got the right hand, the hammer from Alabama. He can knock anybody out, period, with one punch. He can win like that. Two, he can win if Tyson Fury is just way too overconfident, not in shape, and takes his fight for granted, overlooks Deontay Wilder, comes in slightly unprepared, because that's all it takes. If he's slightly unprepared, then I can see him losing this fight. But I'm gonna tell you what, if Tyson Fury would have said, why did you make all these changes if I had to cheat you to beat you? And Deontay would have looked that man in his face and said, all the stuff that was talked about with the conspiracies and the lies and the excuses, all that shit was bullshit because I couldn't deal with my loss. But at the end of the day, I don't give a fuck about that shit. I made all that shit up. It wasn't true. My fans made it up and I co-signed it. But I don't give a fuck about that shit. It is true that you beat me fair and square like a man. But you know what else is true? I spent this last year of my life dedicated to one purpose: to knock you the fuck out. Fuck the excuses. Fuck the conspiracies. Fuck the suit. Fuck Mark Breland and Spike Water and Watergate and Glovegate and all this bullshit. All that shit is bullshit. None of it's true. But what is true is I'm finna come in this rematch, this trilogy match, and I'm finna knock you the fuck out. Period. Tyson Fury, no matter how crazy he is, a piece of him with a shit in his fucking pants. Period, point blank. But we'll see what happens in the fight. Nocturnal thoughts, don't want to stretch this video out too long. Plus, I'm finna get my workout on. Period, point blank. I see y'all on the other side, man. Bow, 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 bow. I'm gone. Salute.